So this is my recipe for chocolate sponge squares, and it's quite easy. So what the ingredients that we need is self-raising flour. I'm using Tesco cocoa powder. It's quite dense, so I like it. I'm using some drinking chocolate. I'm using soft bacon margarine, which is best because it gives you a nice soft light cake. And I'm using some bacon powder, and finally I'm using eggs. And for eggs, 4 medium to large or 5 small. So these are quite small, and I'm going to use 5. So back to the recipe. All the ingredients, put them all together into the baking bowl. Use the whisk on the mixer and whisk together. And whisk together for about a minute and a half, scrape down, and then whisk for another minute and a half. So that's the mixture ready to go into the tin, to go into the oven. The tin I'm using is an 8 by 12 tin. So this is it here, and in it goes shortly. So that's it in the tin ready to go into the oven. And just to let you know, this is the bit my grandchildren love most, is licking the bowl, more than eating the actual chocolate squares. So the oven is set at almost 180. And I'm going to set the timer for about 25 minutes, and then I'll check it. But it's probably going to take more, like 30. And it goes. So that's it ready. It took exactly 30 minutes. How do you know it's ready? Well, if I press it on top, it springs back. The other way, you can use a knife or a skewer. Just put it into the sponge, and if it comes out with no mixture on it, then you know it's ready. So now I'm going to turn it out onto a cooling rack. And in this saucepan, I'm melting some chocolate. So what I've done, I've just brought the water up to the boil, turned it off, and set the chocolate into it. So by the time that chocolate is melted, the sponge will be cool enough. So I've used 2 racks here. So the first rack, I tipped it out onto this one, and then I put the other one on top and turned it back over onto its top side. I sometimes like icing it on the other side because it's flatter, but this time I'm just going to do it on this side. Now the other thing that you could do is, when it's cool, split it in half and put some buttercream on top of, or inside it, and then finish it off with melted chocolate, or you could finish it off with ganache, but I'm just using melted chocolate this time. You could also just have put ordinary icing on top and some sprinkles, so it's up to you how you finish it off. This mixture will also make buns, or you could have done it as a sandwich as well. Now, it's not overly deep. It's enough because I'm just cutting it in squares and have no filling in it. But you can increase the recipe. So just increase it to 8 ounces of margarine, 8 ounces of sugar, 8 ounces of flour, and then stick with your 1 of cocoa and 1 of drinking chocolate and a wee bit extra baking powder, and maybe 5 eggs depending on the size of the eggs. So the other thing is that I'll go over it whenever it starts to set a wee bit, just a couple of wee bit of design on it. It's still a bit hot, but when it's cooled, I'll cut it into squares so it's very easy to make. And that's the recipe again. Easy chocolate cake.